Hey guys, I guess it's time for part 2. Headset review of these guys, the Golds. Quick recap from last we saw our heroes. Basically, I just said that these are an amazing stereo headset, particularly if you use them wirelessly with the amp. And that still holds true very much. The differences between then and now is that I've had just shy of a week. Today's Thursday, I bought them last Friday. So I've had them for 6 days, and I've used them every single day. The battery life has maintained, basically I'm just going to go into the FAQs now, and then pick up some other stuff as we go along. The battery life has maintained at anywhere from 6 to 9 hours on any given day. The louder they are, obviously the quicker they drain. Simple as that. Speaking of the volume, people always ask, hey, does it, I hear it's quiet. No, it's not fucking quiet. At all. Now, if you do the passive hookup through the 3.5mm jack, whether you're using the included cord or any other stereo patch cord, yeah, they're going to be more quiet because that sound is dependent upon whatever amplification from what you're plugging it into. Simple. Alright? If you're plugging these into DualShock 4s, if you're plugging anything into DualShock 4, you're like, it's not loud enough. That's because there's not a very strong amp inside the controller. There's no room for one. Look at this thing. There's no room. There's rumble motors all through here. And then you've got the buttons and then all the motherboard and the wires. Then you have to have the touchscreen here. There's a little speaker in here, which they have to drive. They somehow have to drive this speaker in here. So where's the room for the amp that's going to push headphones this fucking big at the same size as the amplifier that's inside them? There isn't one! Amazing, right? Sorry, I'll take it away there. So, that's the short version. When it comes to volume, make sure you're using the wireless features for that. Same thing with the mic. People are asking, does the mic sound good? And by the way, if you ask that question, no, I don't think you talk like this. I really don't think that at all. But I saw some snooty questions on other forums that shall remain nameless. I know it's not NeoGAF. The mic sounds much better when you put it through wireless for the same reason that the speakers sound better when you put it through wireless. There's a preamp in here. It processes everything, makes it sound better. And I do have a test that I recorded on the computer. I'm going to drop in here.
Wireless, wireless, wireless. Wired, wired, wired. Wireless, wireless, wireless. Wired, wired, wired.
See, not as bad as some of those reports would lead you to believe. So the wireless mic sounds a lot better than wired. But wired sounds okay. But wirelessly are where these things shine above all else. And they do function well wired. No matter what you're using them for, there's much better wirelessly because you have the advantage of the amplifiers and so on. Now, today's point of contention. Before I get to that, people asked, how do I use them while I'm charging? Well, you see this here. This is a micro USB, just like the cord that comes with the headset. Behind me, you can't quite see it. It's right here. This is the other end of that cable. It's just a regular old AC adapter for a cell phone. That one happens to be LG, but anything that has an AC plug with a USB adapter and then a USB to micro USB cord will do the trick. That's not the official word, but it does work. You just plug that into there, and just to prove that this is the real thing, plug it in there, you'll see the light comes on. Boom, they're charging. Alright, it works. Now you can do that while you're listening to them, whatever you want to do, it's great. So when you're charging, that's my advice, is have like a power strip or an extension cord near you, plug it in, listen to it, and that's your cord. And I thought, it was like, well, what's the point? I would still have a cord, but it's off your chest, it's off your head, it doesn't matter. And then you can I have another one of the same charger there for the DualShock 4, which I've been using since launch, and it works great. I've had no problems at all. Just saying. So that's a lot of your FAQs right there. You know, how does the mic sound? You know, how do you use it while you're charging, and so forth. But the big topic of the day, the one that everyone wants to know about, is the application, the companion app for it. How does it work? All right. I'm going to reiterate something that I said in the last review before I go into this, and I want to make it really crystal clear. Okay? If you expect a $100 headset with completely different technology to perform the same as an optical pass-through headset that costs 3 times as much, you need to save the money up from all that crack you've been smoking and go buy a pair of the $300 headphones. Okay? I don't mean to be harsh. I don't mean to be rude. I don't mean to be mean. But there's a difference that these two classes of headset cost is disparagingly different as they do. I don't believe Astros should cost as much as they do. And to be fair, I don't think these should cost as much as they do. $80 would have been a perfect price point for these. But at $100, they're still a damn good deal given the context of the market we're talking about. So for those of you that didn't watch my last video all the way through, or haven't read a comment, or this is the first one you're seeing, the difference between the Sony Pulse headsets and any of the Astro models, whether it's 30, 40, or 50, and many of the Turtle Beach headphones out there. And here's where Turtle Beach gets off charging what they do, so stay with me, guys. There's a box that comes with these headsets. Sometimes they're on the base station where you just put the headphones on when you're not using them. Sometimes it's just a mix box and then a cord comes out if it's a wired headset. And you put your optical out from your console. There's an optical cable, goes into that. Then you put another optical cable on the out port of that, and then that goes to your receiver or your TV or whatever. So it's what's called an optical pass-through. The reason that's important is that the optical cable is carrying your raw Dolby digital or PCM signal. And what the box does is then decode that for each channel. Center, left, right, rear, left, right, rear, if it's a 7.1 mix or just the right rears. And then, of course, sub, which is somewhere down here. And any headset hooked up to one of these boxes, whether it's the Turtle Beach DSS or the Astro Mix Amp, is going to sound a ton better and will have the surround effects going through them. Because all headphones are one set of drivers, okay? And they can only simulate so much. Whereas the Astro A50s, I do believe there's still one driver, but the way they're wired is that they've kind of sectioned off different parts of it for the mix. I don't know that for sure, so don't quote me on it, but I will say that the native Astro headsets do sound a little better than other headsets when you plug them in. But that is neither here nor there. So the point being, at the source of connection, the Astros and the DSS box from Turtle Beach. No, I didn't say the Turtle Beach headset, but the box, the decoding box, the optical digital, Dolby digital box does all the work. And then puts the sound through to whatever you hook in. So the DSS and the mix amp, you can plug any headphone, any headset in there, and you're going to get a much more accurate representation of surround sound than you do with anything virtual. Because that's why they call it virtual, not real. Okay? So, and here's the thing about the mix amp or the DSS. You put a 2-channel signal in there, you're going to get a 2-channel signal out of it, stereo. So whatever you're playing, listening to, or watching has to be in a 5.1 surround mix for it to truly work. You know, they can enhance it a little bit, but it's a lot like the virtual surround sound on this. It's all dependent upon the signal you have going in. Alright? So the only true closest cousin to, surround sound with speakers and a subwoofer is anything with an actual Dolby Digital decoder in it. Okay? Remember that for the end of the video, because I got a little surprise for you. And these, they have the virtual surround, which you enable with this button right here. It says VSS. Now that works across every single sound profile that they have. Doesn't matter. The sound profiles are nothing more than graphic equalization settings, and it's only 3-band, which is kind of disappointing. I'd prefer 5, but 3 will do in a pinch. And for me, because I felt that the virtual surround kind of washed out the bass and pushed the mids a little too much, I went the opposite route. Crank the bass, take 1 notch out of the mids, put 1 notch up on the treble to kind of keep the clarity. And what I've actually done since then, I've taken the bass down 1 notch. So it's still higher than everything else, but not blasting. And then I put the virtual surround on, and what happens is I still got the stereo mix, but it widens it ever so slightly. It's enough. It works well for my needs. Playing Tomb Raider, playing Battlefield, Warframe, I can tell what direction something is coming from, and that works well for my needs. Now, someone was asking me if this is good for sound whoring. Depending upon what game you're playing, yes or no, and what your needs are, what your hearing is like. So with these, I can tell what direction something coming from. Forward, back, left, right, any combination thereof. But for the most part, telling distance is not that easy. It's not on or off, but it's not... Now, because I'm not a sound whore to begin with, when I was using, studio reference headphones, I can't tell you if the game mix allowed for that either. Because most people that talk about the footsteps thing are talking about Call of Duty. I don't really hear people ask that about Battlefield because, frankly, there's more going on in Battlefield at any given time, in my experience. So I don't know if it's going to be perfect for that. But if it's a make-or-break deal, try them. But more than likely, if you really want to hear the you're going to want something that has the Dolby pass-through on it. That's just how it works. If that's not a huge deal to you and just the idea of being able to hear things all around you, it works, get them. These are great. These do the job. But I wouldn't call them professional grade. That's why they're not any professional grade price. Very simple. You don't go to the Indy 500 to watch somebody race a bunch of Formula 1 racers, Indy 500, NASCAR, whatever. Professional race cars. You don't see a bunch of Formula 1 racers lined up with a Miata. You don't see that. Because they're not the same class of vehicle. These are not the same class of headset as something like an Astro A50. Or even the Player Ones, which are by Skull Candy but made by Astro, but have the Dolby pass-through. Okay? It's just a different technology. I said in a video yesterday about the Vita, difference in the screens. It's very similar to in the heyday of plasma versus LCD, a high-end plasma versus a mid-range LCD. They're just not in the same class. You cannot expect them to perform at the same level. So, and just to beat the point home a little further, in the name, PlayStation Gold Stereo headset with virtual surround. All right? So if you go into this knowing that, you're going to be really happy. So here is the surprise for the end of the video. Several friends of mine have gotten Golds and Elites and have A50s. And the guy that has the A50s and has the Gold says these are great. As long as you don't expect them to perform like the A50s, they're great for what they are. He agrees with me on all counts that the A50, that the drivers are great, the EQ works very, very well. And the virtual surround is, again, it's close directionally, or distance-wise, but directionally it's pretty accurate. And he likes them, and he enjoys them. He just prefers the A50s, which is why he spent the money on them in the first place. I don't have a lot of experience with the A50s or the Pulse Elites, but enough to know that unless you need a rumble can on your head, or you are looking to do the sound whoring, or you want to be a ridiculous length, and I'm talking like 30, 40 feet away from your system, you're not going to need them. You just don't need them. It's the pricing that's very exorbitant to me. So the other end of that is that I was talking about the Astro Mix Amps versus the Turtle DSS. So these are the Gold headsets, right? So a lot of speculation that, well, what are the Platinums going to be? And then I had a video that had said that Turtle Beach was commissioned to do the official PlayStation headsets. They happen to have a Dolby certification. They happen to have a box that can hook into the back of your PS4 optical cable and make with the real Dolby Digital. And Sony wants them to make the official headsets. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. They're going to take the DSS box, they're going to integrate it into some sort of a rack for the headset, or just leave it the way it is. And then they're going to get a wireless headset that hooks into it. Probably on par with these, maybe a little better. And then call it the Turtle Beach branded PlayStation Platinums. Honestly and truly, take the virtual surround out of these fucking things completely. Gone. Bye. Take that out. Maybe give it a boom mic. Or instead of having the internal mic, give you the option of putting a different mic in there. That'd be about it, to be perfectly honest with you. So the Platinums would have to be, take the virtual surround out, maybe give me the option of an external mic, or option of turning on the amplifier even when they're plugged in passively. And then have it wirelessly hooked up to a special version of the Turtle Beach DSS, which has full stereo, full 5.1 surround on it. There's your Platinums. I called it. I bet you that's what it's going to be. And I'm going to be honest, because unless the headset itself is absolute garbage and you have to use that headset, I'll buy one. Because if not, I'll just save my bones and get the A50s. That's it. Because these are meant to be the everyday mamma jammas. Meaning ones that I'm using music, chat, and gaming, where there's no sound whoring involved with that activity. If you're playing no music, no party chat, but you're in clan chat where everyone's talking and you're focused on your thing, then you're going to be sound whoring a little bit. But you're going to want to have direct control of your chat volume, which you can kind of do with the PlayStation 4 chat system as it stands now, but it's just prioritize party or not. So really, if you want to know the best way to do it, just go on a party, don't prioritize the party chat, and leave it alone, and then adjust your game volume in-game. I know it's a pain in the ass, but it does work. So that's how you would do it. So there you have it. That's the Gold Review. Went over all the FAQs, talked a bit more about the application. There wasn't a lot to say because it wasn't that complicated to begin with, but the verdict remains the same. I'd say 8 out of 10. These are a great value. Tremendous value. Great performance. No false advertising. This is a stereo headset that gives you the feature of virtual surround and gives you the ability to mix different EQs in to find what sounds best for your ear. And with all that, it works very, very well. If you need true surround, there's different equipment on the market that achieves that. This is not designed for that. This may not be the best route for you to go. If you don't feel like spending at least $180 on something like the Player Ones, when they aren't on sale, these are a very good interim choice until you can afford that. So, bottom line, if you've got the money, you want to go a bit further with a true Dolby decoding wireless headset, go get either the Player Ones or the A50s. If money is a problem and you want to just get a good, solid wireless headset that has some of the best stereo quality I've heard in anything that doesn't have a wire attached to it, get these for $100. 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for the support, guys. Keep sending people my way. I'm going to try and keep these interesting. And if I start to stray, tell me what's going on. I want to entertain you. So, thanks so much. Love you guys. Keep on grinding.